Marina, a waitress who moonlights as a nightclub singer, is bowled over by the death of her older boyfriend. Instead of being able to mourn her lover, suddenly Marina is treated with suspicion by everyone around her. She is a trans woman, and for most of her lover's surviving family, her sexual identity is an aberration, a perversion. So, Marina struggles for the right to be herself. She battles the very same forces that she has spent a lifetime fighting just to become the woman she is now. A complex, strong, forthright, and fantastic woman. Joining us now on behalf of a fantastic woman, writer-director Sebastián Lelio and trans actress, singer, nightclub performer Daniela Vega. Well, thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
This is a love story between two individuals who love and feel for each other deeply, who are societally separated by age and class. The man in the relationship is 20 years older than the woman. Both the man and the woman hail from different economic spheres. That in itself makes for a very potentially interesting story, but added to all of this was another layer. The woman in the relationship and in question, the character of Marina, happens to be a transgender lady. So I'm going to throw the first question to Sebastián, if I may, but in an interview, you called the idea of this movie a great cinematic challenge. It'd be wonderful to hear you expound a bit upon that for just the purposes of the ensuing conversation.
Okay. Did I say that?
Yeah. Yes, you did. Yeah.
Well, it was mainly because at some point of the process of creating the script and the concept of the film, we came across of this idea of making a transgenre film about a transgender character, and that was like a boom, like it opened so many possibilities and so many cinematic territories, and it allowed this multitonal and polyedric film to take shape. So it's quite it's a film that operates in different directions. It flirts with different genres. It's a romantic film that becomes a thriller, that becomes a ghost story, that becomes a funeral movie, that becomes a character study, and it's the sum of all of that, and none of that separately. So the identity of the film, it's self-elusive, and the film doesn't want to be labeled easily, and in that is deeply connected with its own character of study, Marina. So there is a deep connection between the two elements. You know, the film's identity and the character's identity. So it's not only a film that poses the question, what is a woman? But it's a film that questions itself. What am I? What is a film?
See, that's a deeply cinematic challenge. You called it transgenre. That's a new term. I don't think I've ever heard that term, really, but it kind of does, it fits this movie.
Well, I needed to come out with an idea to explain that, because in Spanish we use the same word for genre and for gender. We say género. So for me, it's a transgénero film about a transgénero character.
Why did you feel it necessary to cast a transgender woman in the title role? I would think this would be a great role for anybody to play because of the different layers and everything. But why? Could you talk about the genesis of that?
Well, at the beginning, I wasn't sure. It was one of my questions, like, who could I cast? And do I even want to make this film, first of all? Then when I met Daniela, she was a consultant. She was like helping us, explaining us what the transgender world was and her life experience, etc. And I became fascinated with Dani, and I was like, okay, I might want to do this film, but then who could play it? And then I I just felt that it would have been an aesthetical anachronism to use a cisgender actor to interpret a transgender character. I'm not saying that I'm against that, because I think we're free and there are no limits to art. But for me, the film I wanted to make, I was not open to the idea of doing it without a transgender actress. To me, it felt like when, at the beginning of cinema, when black people were banned from appearing in films, you would see white people with their face painted. So I didn't want to do that. So that was the process. That's how it happened.
Well, let me ask Daniela then. Daniela, where did the character of Marina in A Fantastic Woman and the lady and actress and singer who is Daniela Vega begin and end?
La película no es biográfica, tiene un hilo emocional, un hilo conductor que evoca muchísimas emociones que podría vivir cualquier persona, y en ese lugar la película se instala como un dispositivo artístico que puede conectar con cualquier persona en el mundo. De pronto las similitudes que tenemos Marina y yo es que ambas somos trans y ambas cantamos la ópera, pero más allá de eso, las vivencias que Marina experimenta y lo que ella representa corporalmente y moralmente en la película, de pronto pueden tener tanto similitudes como lejanía conmigo como persona natural. Yo diría que lo más importante es centrarse en lo que nos pasa emocionalmente, viendo la película, intentando entender el personaje de Marina, más que intentar buscar respuestas debajo de la alfombra. Yo creo que la característica principal de esta película es hacerse preguntas más que intentar responder preguntas. Y una de las grandes preguntas que hacemos es ¿cómo vivimos la empatía? ¿Qué es ser mujer? ¿Qué cuerpos pueden habitarse? ¿Qué cuerpos no pueden habitarse? ¿Qué amores pueden vivirse? ¿Qué amores no pueden vivirse? ¿Y quién prohíbe esas formas de vivir la vida, ¿no? ¿Quién dice que no se puede llegar a vivir de una manera determinada? ¿Y por qué ponemos limitantes a la libertad de ciertas personas?
Boy, okay. Well, yeah, made me think of, Daniela, what you said. The movie also, inevitably, I suppose, is about prejudice, not only individual prejudice, but institutional prejudice as well. I'm curious if either of you, while you were both collaborating on this, did you experience any of that yourselves? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've experienced prejudice coming from myself towards the world. And I guess.
How do you mean yourself? You mean yourself?
I mean, I feel prejudice. It's something that happens to us as humans, and we have to fight it because the sole idea of prejudice is already a failure because you are prejudging something. It's already a bad idea. So, but talking about what the film explores and exposes, I haven't been close to that kind of prejudice, not in that way. No, I don't know if you, Danny, have been closer to that experience. De prejuicio de...
Yo creo que no hay persona en el mundo que no haya sentido prejuicios de sí mismo para con los demás. Y es un poco la naturaleza humana. Ahora, el desafío de la película y mi propio desafío también en la vida es dejar esos prejuicios para tratar de desvelar lo que hay detrás. Y mientras menos prejuiciosos seamos, más juiciosos vamos a ser. Y ante los prejuicios yo pondría una alerta roja porque tienden a destruir o a tergiversar realidades más que a complementarlas. Y la peli, insisto, más que intentar responder preguntas, más que intentar hacer tesis de lo que somos, lo que intenta es preguntarse qué somos y por qué somos. Y ante eso, un mar de posibilidades.
Well, another striking component in the film, and one which I'd like for either of you to address, is this notion that it's the family of Marina's beloved that piles on the most indignities onto her, never really allowing her to grieve. And it's through those outside of the family, Marina's boss, her singing teacher, that she receives the most acknowledgement and encouragement and support. And I guess that's one of the peculiarities of the human condition, which is to say when our families, our blood families who usher us in to the world shun us instead of doing maybe what family should be doing, which is to love us. Can you speak to that?
Is that a question?
It's just a comment. It was an observation that I got from the film.
Right.
That it was a striking component about the movie, that her support really came from those outside of the family of the man that she was in love with.
Right. Yeah. Well, there is a crucial element in to consider, which is class. Which is a huge thing in everywhere, but in Latin America is gigantic. And Orlando's family belong to a higher class. They are not worlds apart, but they are different. And that particular family, to anyone that's Latin American or from Chile, you can read to which sector of society they belong to. They are kind of like a more or less progressist, more or less cultivated, modern family. They are not ultra right-wing fascists. They are a normal, educated family. And that's interesting because what's the limit, And then sometimes it's easy to be tolerant or to have progressive ideas, but then until the problem knocks at your door,
right?
And that's what they are facing as a challenge. Those characters, like the confrontation between what's right and what comes out of their bodies instinctively, which is this rejection and fear towards Marina. And our question and my question is like, why are you guys so afraid of a transgender woman? I mean, what is so scary?
Right. And these attitudes are always based in fear, aren't they? Like something we fear or we don't understand or we consider as the other. But
exactly. I think fear is deeply related to ignorance. So it's just we don't know that there's nothing to fear. And I hope the film, without wanting to be a cause film, because it's not, contributes to reduce the amount of ignorance that society has when it comes to the transgender community.
Well, we got to end this because we're out of time. But I just wanted to say in conclusion that what I loved most about this movie and this story was that it fundamentally was about something in a way that transcends physical form, and because we live in a corporal world, it has its place, that form, its importance. But the real beauty of this story is that it was about, I think, fundamentally in the end, how we walk through the world, how we treat other people, who we're being with each other and with ourselves, what's inside. how we love, really, which in the end, in my opinion, is what really matters. And that's why I think this is such a beautiful film. And one, too, I think that's resonating with the times, I think, and the issues we're being confronted with and struggling with and coming to terms with. If anybody watched you guys were at the Golden Globes the other night, you know, a lot of that was presenced at that ceremony. But and the last question I want to ask Danielle is, what shade of red is that?
¿Qué tono de rojo es ese?
It's a pretty awesome shade of red, and
Es un rojo Dani Vega.
Canivela. It's a Dani Vega red.
Okay, Dani Vega red. It's very distinctive. It's very beautiful. Anyway, thank you both for being here again. The film is a fantastic woman, and our guests have been Sebastián Lelio and Daniela Vega. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.